Hi there! This is going to be another Welcome to the Netherlands video, and this one is less about the Netherlands and more about how I travel, how I plan my trips. So this year was all about traveling for me, and the Netherlands is kind of my home base, where I live, where I work, but on my free time, when my budget allows, I try to get out and see other countries around Europe. So I've already been to Paris and to London and a couple of the surrounding cities in England, and within the next coming months I'm definitely going to Italy, hopefully Ireland, and if my budget will stretch that far, a couple of other places, maybe like Spain or Scotland. So there's a lot of traveling to do, and all of that obviously requires a lot of research and planning. So I'm just going to show you a couple of websites I really like and how I plan my trips. One of the main websites I use for planning my trips is Google Drive. You can see how organized you can make it. It really appeals to my type A planning personality. And I've got some trips I'm working on here, and we're just going to go to my previous trips so I can show you what I did for England. The first thing you see is my budget tab, so you're going to want to make a budget before you go, and this is based on careful research. You can find pretty much everything online before you go. It's also not a bad idea to keep track of your expenses while you're on your trip. And if you're a really visual person, you can use those numbers at the end of your trip to make a pie chart to show you where each percentage of your money went. I also made myself a little calendar, and this changed a lot between the time that I originally created it and even the end of the trip. But it's good to have a balance between the things where you pre-booked and those can't change, such as day trips, out of the city, and then your more spontaneous things where you can change them. I organized this calendar based on a list of things that I had found to do, and you can organize your list by the type of thing, or like I did here with London, by the area that everything is in. And again, here you see a separate tab for Windsor, so these are the things that I could do while I was in town. Of course, the all-important packing list. This is so vital to make sure that you don't forget your really important things. So here's a trip that I'm planning right now. I am possibly going to Dublin for a couple of weeks in spring, and as you can see I have my budget tab where I've kind of got an estimation of what I want to spend on all the facets of my trip. And don't forget that these numbers are not just an estimation, they come from research that's updated daily, because plane ticket prices will change all the time, so you have to keep updating those numbers. And here's the list of all the things that I'm planning to do while I'm in Dublin. You can see that they're organized by type. We'll get to how to find these kind of things in just a second. And here I've just organized them into a calendar, again like I did with Windsor. Obviously this is going to change a whole lot between now and when it happens. And ditto with the packing list. It's kind of a loose packing list right now. I will probably change it before I get ready to go. Okay, so people always assume that the cheapest way to travel in Europe is by train, and that's just flat wrong. You can find some good specials on train tickets, and so sometimes it is cheaper than flying, but if you're looking for a specific date, a lot of the times those tickets are going to be really expensive. So the best way is to use discount airlines and to fly. Google Flights is good for a lot of reasons, but one of those is that you can put in multiple airports to your fly out of area, and you can do the same with the fly into with the multiple airports, or you can just do a general location. So let's say I wanted to fly out of either Amsterdam or Eindhoven, because I can get to either one pretty easily, but I want to go to whichever one happens to be cheaper, and then I just want to go somewhere in Spain. Well, Google Flights lets you do that because you can customize a little bit more. Another perk to Google Flights is watching the price of flights over time. Now you can do this with other travel websites, but you have to keep logging back in and checking on the specific flight, whereas Google Flights saves all that information for you and gives you a nifty little graph. So you can keep track of the price of your plane tickets over time before you get ready to book. However, Google Flights may not always have the cheapest option, so it's good to look in other places as well. Sometimes it's cheaper to book directly from the website. So if you'll direct your eyes up to my search bar, I'm typing in a couple of websites that are really good in Europe: Ryanair, EasyJet, and WTC, which fly out of the Netherlands and to other places, in Europe. So now we have to decide what we're going to do. I use a couple of websites to get ideas of where to go and what to see. TripAdvisor is one of those, and you kind of have to use it with a grain of salt if you want to avoid touristy places. Because obviously a lot of the things that get highly reviewed by a lot of people are the places where a lot of people are going to be. But if you want to just get a general overview and a feel for what's available, this is a really good place to start. Now, don't ever book directly through TripAdvisor. I don't think it's unsafe or anything, but I know you'll get much better deals if you do a little research on your own. My other source of inspiration is none other than Pinterest. And here you can find a lot of blogs that get pinned with plenty of ideas, lots of specialized lists like free things to do or things to do if you only have 24 hours. And also like things not to do, things that are overrated. So this is a little bit more of a personal touch with people who travel all the time. Now, while you're gleaning all this inspiration for your magical list of things to do, it's not a bad idea to have Google Maps open in another tab so that you can kind of keep an eye geographically on where everything is. And I just like to star the places that I'm interested in so that I can get a little layout in my head of where everything's going to be. Because most of the places that you'll find are in the city center, they're easy to get to, but then sometimes there will be that random one that's all the way out in the middle of nowhere. And it may still be worth going to, but now you know that you have to do that as a full day trip and you can't just pop over there. And finally, where are you going to stay? I'm a big fan of Airbnb. I know a lot of people my age tend to favor hostels because they're cheap and they provide opportunities to socialize. But after some research this morning on hostels in Dublin, they're essentially the same price as an Airbnb, much cheaper than a hotel. And with my Airbnb experience in England, it was the perfect amount of socialization. I could be with people when I wanted to. I met lots of new and fascinating, interesting people, but then I also had privacy when I wanted to. The search features are also really great too. I mean, if you have a specific city that you're going to, you can type that in. But if you're just looking for a general area, just type in the country. And then let's say you don't want to spend more than 30 euros, so you can put that in. You want to stay with someone who's had experience with Airbnbers, so you might want to pick a superhost. You might want 2 beds or a bathroom to yourself. All of those are customizable things that you can choose within your search. Plus, you can look at pictures, reviews, location on a map, and you can look at the host as well. So even though this place looks really great, the host is a guy, and being a solo female traveler, I'm probably going to stay with her instead, but also because bookshelf envy. When you find a place you like, you can favorite it, and as you can see, there's folders with options for different trips and things to organize by, so an easy way to keep track of everything all at once. So there you have it, a really good overview of the websites I use to plan my trips. It's always really good to start planning far in advance as you can. You really don't need to start booking things until about 6 weeks out. If you're here, I would say if you're booking international flights from the US to Europe, obviously do a little bit further in advance because that's you need more cushion time when you're coming that far. But when everything is really close, or if you're in the US and you're going somewhere else in the US, you really need about maybe 6-ish weeks of solid planning time. I really hope this video has prompted some questions or some thoughts, so leave me something in the comments and I would love to get back to you on that. Any other questions, comments, concerns, video ideas, anything like that, just let me know. I'm always happy to oblige whatever you want to see. And I guess the only other thing to say is happy travels. Dewey.